Namaste, everybody. I hope you're doing well today. Today's topic is over how we find contentment. All right. And of course, I'll include my presentation in there as well. But what I want you to think about today is in your own life, in your own journey, kind of where you struggle. And why is it that you've been unable to be content with where you're at? So I'm going to give you a few key elements. It's going to be a nice short video. Won't take up too much of your time. All right. So the first one is healthy boundaries. Thinking about in your life, healthy boundaries. And there's a book out there called Boundaries. It's a Christian-based author, but I'm really going to encourage you to get a hold of the original book and read it. There are a lot of Bible verses, so if that's not your thing, just skim over those Bible verses. But this book is going to give you the key elements, the core of kind of like looking at yourself, of how you need to make adjustments in your life. And I want you to think about right here, right now, the relationship you have with others is a direct reflection of the relationship you have with yourselves. So how you feel about yourself is how you're going to feel about others so many times in our life. If you love yourself, if you accept yourself, if you respect yourself, then you're going to love and respect and accept others. If you have resentment towards yourself, you're going to have that towards others. And then if you're in a relationship, that really just becomes amplified towards that other person. So I'm going to encourage you to really just take this year, if you didn't take last year, but go ahead and take this year to spend time focusing on yourself. So what has happened is a lot of people last year are in the best shape of their lives, mentally, physically, and spiritually. They spent the entire year really just focusing and diving in on themselves. If you didn't have that opportunity, I'm going to encourage you to take this year and spend this time really focusing on yourself. The question right now I want you to ask is, what is distracting you from being present? Like, what's holding you back from being content, to being in this moment right here, right now? I want you to begin to think about that. Why can you not just be okay with where you're at today and be okay with who you are? So what is the distraction? What's going on? Is it mental, physical? Are you having financial stress, sexual? Is it food? All those different aspects and concepts really play a big role on it. All right. So what's distracting you? These are all journal questions. I want you to think about dependency for a second. All right. And then we're going to dive into this. So what I want you to do is, after I ask you this question, I want you to pause the video for 2 minutes, and I want you to journal this. So I want you to just, if you were going to tell me your story, that you get out a pen and a paper, and you're going to tell your story. I want you to tell me your story in 2 minutes, and then pause the video, okay? I'd like for you to write it down as much as possible. But if not, just think about it and then come back and hit play on this video. So when you told your story, if you told your story to me, did you play the role of a victim or a hero? Were you one of those people that victimize everything, that you're blaming somebody else for your current situation of where you're at? Or are you feeling really empowered and you really have allowed yourself a whole different level, a whole different concept of belief in yourself, of who you are? Okay? So are you a victim or are you a hero? And a lot of this relies on independency or codependency. A lot of us are codependency on all our relationships, professionally, politically, personally. Okay? Or a lot of us are completely independent politically, right? Professionally. Personally. So think about that in your life. Think about in your life, are you really independent or are you codependent? And how you can really transform out of that and become that independent person, how you can become that hero, that warrior. Begin to tell your story in a different manner. That you no longer tell your story as a victim, but you tell it as a warrior, as a hero. Okay. Minimalistic mindset. So materialism is the inability to be happy with your current situation or lack of gratitude. Minimalism is the ability to be content with your current situation while desiring less worldly possessions, okay? The less materialistic items you desire, the happier you become, short and long term. The more materialistic items you desire, the unhappier you become long term. So think about how you view this world, and are you always grabbing for other materialistic items? Or are you content? So I'm going to give you a few examples. So I have materialistic items, but I've come to the point now in my life where I want high quality items that are going to last a long time. And that way, if I buy these items, they're going to last a lot longer than if I buy a less valued item. And I'm okay completely with thrift store shopping. My whole family does that. And if you go to, what is it, like goodwill.com or something like that, shop Goodwill or shop something, it's an amazing website with all the Goodwill stuff that you can buy online. It's super cool. And so my family, we're all like addicted to this, and we're always like, hey, look at this item, look at that item. So it's really, really cool to find things of value at a good deal. But what I'm talking about is always replacing items of good value. So if you have Burberry or Coach or, I don't know, some of the other high-end Louis Vuitton, right? Or Hammett, like my favorite kind of bag to carry is Hammett. But you buy it, and as soon as you purchase it, you're looking to replace it because it didn't satisfy you, because it didn't fill you up, right? Because it didn't really bring you contentment. So be intentful with what you have around you in your purchases. And so I'm going to kind of tell you a story. A couple of years ago, we sold our house and we bought a van, and we're living in a van. Let me find one of these containers. And these containers right here, I don't know if you can see it, they have a lid. And my wife was going out of town for work. And she was coming back into town, and she's like, you have like 6 of these containers, and everything you own has to fit into these containers. And it just made me realize, like, oh my gosh, I purged so much stuff out of the years, but within this van, you only have a limited amount of space. And so I can put 1 week's of shorts and shirts in one container. So I had 2 for that. I had 1 for winter clothes, and then I had 1 for like my journals and things like that. And then I had 1 for like electronics and stuff like that. So when you get that mindset, I want you to think about that today. How can you get rid of everything out of your life that really doesn't bring you joy and only have the things that bring you joy? So I had to go through a lot of clothes. And so then I got down to 14 shorts and 14 shirts. And so I had to go and pick and choose what really brought me joy, what really satisfied me, what really served me, right? And so I think in your life, if you start getting rid of all those things in your life and all those objects that no longer serve you, that they're just occupying space, they're occupying time, they're occupying your energy, and you get rid of those, then it gives you more room to actually have the opportunity to just have the things in your life that serve you. That's people, places, objects, that's everything. This is one of the biggest keys. And it is a struggle because sometimes it's relationships. But tell yourself, I have to live in a van. And I only have room for 6 containers. What are the most important things in my life that I have to take with me on this journey, on this path? There's a lot of people that have lived in like everything they own is in a backpack, right? So get down to that aspect of what is it that I really, really have that brings me joy, that really serves me, that enriches my life, and keep those items, okay? Comparison. You've got to get rid of comparison. You can no longer compare yourself to other people, right? You can no longer want to, as they say, keep up with the Joneses. So if there's somebody that's doing something better than you, right, or you're doing something better than them, just forget all about that. Just give yourself the opportunity to be real, to be raw, to be authentic. Comparing yourself to others is one of the biggest keys as well as being content. Finding acceptance for yourself of who you are today, right? Not comparing yourself to the past or to who you might be in the future. But acceptance and unconditional love of who you are right here, right now. That is one of the biggest keys in finding contentment. That you're okay with your body, you're okay with who you are mentally and physically, and that you understand that this is a journey and a path. and that physically as we age, we're probably not going to have the same endurance and resilience and strength as we did when we were younger, right? But spiritually and mentally, we have probably grown a lot. So your gifts and your talents are very unique. So give yourself that opportunity just to be okay with who you are. And do not compare yourself to anybody else, even yourself. Stop comparing yourself to who you were or who you might be. So I guess that's going to be it for today on this topic. But I want to know if you have any questions, any feedback, feel free to reach out to me. I want you to think about those concepts and let me know if there's something else you'd like for me to discuss. I love you guys. I hope you have a great weekend. Namaste.